Ha Mitakuyepi. Hello, everyone. Today is the 1st of April, April Fool's Day, and it's also the birthday of one of my cousins. And I would like to talk about him to honor him, as he was like my big brother. He was about a year and a half older than me, and I would like to talk about him as a way to honor him, as he played a vital role in my life. When we were little boys, I was probably about 3 years old, and he was about 4.5 years old, maybe 5 already. And he got a brand new bike one time. And he lived on the other side of town where we grew up. And he biked over to where I live, and he wanted to show off his brand new red bike. And it was kind of a taller bike, but he was a big guy. He was taller than me, of course, and he could barely reach the pedals, but he was all proud of his new bike. And so he said, "Let's go ride around." And so I asked my mother if it was okay to go, and she okayed it. So he put me on the handlebars in the front, and away we went. So we were cruising down the main street of town, and this was back in the 1960s. And the town that we grew up in is within the reservation, but it was what res people call a white town, because there was a section of the town that was owned by the state of South Dakota, so they set up a town there. And a lot of farmers were living in the area, so they had the county courthouse was there. It's a county seat. So there were a lot of white people that lived in this town. It was probably like half Indian, half white. So we were riding down the street, and on one of the side streets, the sidewalk was like not made out of concrete. It was made out of boards. So this was from the early 1900s. Yeah. So we were riding down this boarded sidewalk, and we were really having fun. Just cruising around, and then, and then I was just having fun. Yeah, I was sitting onto the handlebar, holding onto the handlebar, sitting in front, and he was pedaling, and we were really going fast. And up ahead, one of the boards was missing. And we were going so fast, he didn't have time to stop. So he said, "David, look out." He said, the wheel went right into that crack. So the back part went up like this, and we both went flying over. And we hit the ground. And it was like, we got the breath knocked out of ourselves, yeah, because we really hit hard. We looked up and we just saw clouds, yeah. Blue sky and clouds. And all we could do was laugh. And then he said, "And now for our next trick." Like we were circus clowns or something. So you see, he was a funny guy, yeah. Oh man, we had a lot of good times on that red bike, yeah. His red bike. It wasn't it was a long time until I got my first bike, yeah, but that was cool. And then a couple years later, we were I was going to school now, yeah, that first grade. And back in those days, they didn't have kindergarten. We had preschool, which was a tribal program, and that was for both Indian and white kids. And my mother was a teacher there, and that was for like when you're 4 and 5 years old, you go there, yeah. And then when you're 6 years old, you go to first grade at the big school, yeah. That's what we called it. Grades, first grade through 12th grade, yeah, the big school. And Curtis was a grade above me, yeah, ahead of me. So now I'm going to the big school. I'm going to be in first grade, and of course he would be in second grade. Now, in his class, he was one of the tough guys. Yeah, he was. There was a lot of Indian guys in that class, and they were the tough guys of this class, and they're this kind of a racist town, so we have to be ready, yeah, to deal with that kind of a difficulty. But the white boys were really scared of him because he was big and he was a tough guy. And in his class, there were a lot of, like I said, a lot of Indian guys, and they were kind of big guys. And so I'm coming into first grade now, and when we were on the playground for recess, the first morning recess, geez, the white boys were friendly to me. Yeah? I couldn't understand that. They were, David, do you want a candy? David, you wanna ride on this swing? They were just super friendly, and I thought, wow. And then after school, I was walking home, and all these white boys in my class, they were all walking with me. Yeah, they were all like, "Wow, this is." Do you want? Their keep would say, "Do you want a candy?" And then one guy said, "So is Curtis really your brother?" And I said, "Yeah." It kind of surprised me. Yeah, that evidently he told these white guys that not to beat me up. He told them, "Hey, don't mess with David because I'm gonna beat you up. He's my brother," he said. So that's what they told me. They said they were really scared of Curtis, so that's why they were being really friendly to me. So one guy said, "Well, if you're brothers, how come you have different last names?" So I said, "Because that's the Indian way." Oh, they said. I I never talked to Curtis about that, but I appreciate that. He was looking out for me, because see, when I grew up, I'm the only child, so I didn't have brothers and sisters. Curtis, he has sisters, and he's the oldest one. Well, he just watched out for me, and I really appreciate that. So that's the kind of guy he was. Yeah, it's like he was like my brother. So, well, we had a lot of good times. We went fishing together. He taught me how to fish. In our neighborhood, we had in the Indian part of town, there were some boys that were the Lakota guys. They were, maybe 10 years older than us. We called them the big boys. And the big boys, they taught us guys how to make bows and arrows, and we had a cave kind of thing in near where we lived, and like our secret place, our secret warrior place. It was so cool, yeah. The big boys took care of us. They took us under their wing, and like I said, they taught us things, and see, and some of these boys, their grandfather, he his grandfather was at the Battle of the Little Bighorn. And so um, this grandfather of the boys, he knows stories, of things that happened. And he taught those boys traditions and like how to make bows and arrows. And so then those boys taught us little guys the same thing. So when we were growing up, we never played things like cowboys and Indians. Yeah, 'cause we didn't really watch that on TV. Gunsmoke, we thought was a cool show, but we didn't play cowboys and Indians in our community. We played Lakotas against the Crow Indians. we made we made the troublemakers be the Crow Indians, and then we tell them to take off, and then we go on the warpath. Eh? And then we capture them and stuff like that, and then we make them do things for um, the old people, yeah, like haul water, because a lot of houses they didn't have running water, but they had a community pump, a well, yeah, those kind where you pump like that, and the water came from deep down in the earth. Oh, that was delicious water, really good water. And even though we had running water, we still went down there. Yeah, my mom would take buckets, and I would go with her, and we would pump water into pails and jugs, and then take it back and do that whenever we needed to. That was nice. Yeah, really nice memories. Anyway, so that's the kind of thing that we did, and Curtis taught me, how to like to do these things with bows and arrows and stuff like that, and it was a nice time when I remember that. Yeah, in my childhood, um, going to school, in the classroom was traumatic times because of the teachers and how racist they were, and how they would treat us Indian kids really mean. And I told a story on another video where I saw one of my friends, he couldn't answer a question that the teacher asked him. So she grabbed him by his hair and just slammed his head on the desk. And he was sitting in front of me, yeah, and his head just, with it, his eyes rolled up, and his head came up like that, like that. She about knocked this kid out, scared the shit out of me, yeah, and that motivated me to, I don't want to get hit like that, so I studied like crazy, yeah, to so if the teacher asks me questions, that I'll be able to answer her so I don't get hit. And the result of that was I became the first Indian honor student in that school. Kind of a funny, uh, tragic result, yeah, consequence from that. So outside, it seemed like Curtis helped me to, have fun. That when we went fishing, he taught me how to do things, and like a big brother. And many times he watched out for me, and I really appreciate that. He took care of me a lot. There was another experience where uh, we went to his home, and we were riding bikes, and it was really hot, summertime. We went to the well, and we drank water. Then this pump kind of well that I just talked about. And then he said, "Geez, I'm hungry. David, are you hungry?" So I said, "Yeah, a little bit." He said, "Let's go eat." So I said, "Okay." So we went with our bikes to his house. Nobody was home. And so he was like, um, "What do you want to eat?" He said. And I said, "I don't know." And then he started to act like um, a guy at a restaurant. he said, he said, he said something like, he said, "Oh, come right in." He said, "Here's a table for you." He had me just one table, and I was sitting there, and he said, "And and on today we have fried potatoes and hamburger and a lovely fruit dessert." And so I was just laughing. And so he went to the kitchen. It's right by the dining room. So he opened the refrigerator, and it was just surprised me. Yeah, he got out some hamburger, and well, the first thing he did was he got potatoes. Now I remember he got some potatoes from where they keep their potatoes really fast. Yeah, he was peeling the potatoes just quick, and I was like, "Geez." First of all, I thought he was just joking about the whole thing. I thought maybe he was just, pretending, and we were gonna have just bread and something, yeah. But no, he got the potatoes, and boy, he was really fast. Then he sliced them up, yeah, really quick, and then he put them in a pan, a kind of a pot, and put some cold water on it, and started to, soak it. And then he took the potatoes out and spilled the water out, and then he got a cast iron frying pan. No joke, yeah. He put some bacon lard in there, and he turned on the stove, and I was like, what's this guy doing? And he put the potatoes in, and it just started to fry, and wow, it smelled good. And the, in another frying pan, he started making hamburger patties, and he said, "Oh, la be, la be, la be, la be." He was singing like that. "Oh, look at the spicy meatball," or something like that. He made it really round, and then he flattened it into two patties, and he put it in the frying pan. And then I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's really cooking." How old were we at this time? My gosh, I think we were like 7, 8 years old, maybe 9 years old. Yeah, around that time. It just freaked me out. This little guy. I mean, he's bigger than me, but but he was frying. Yeah, the hamburger and potatoes. And then while that was going, he got out a can of commodity fruit cocktail. Commodities on the reservation. We have this kind of food we call it commodities, and it's like it's a food from the government for poor people. And since most Indians are poor, most Indians get this food. It's it consists of like canned fruits, uh, canned meats like canned beef, canned pork, canned chicken, powdered milk, uh, powdered mashed potatoes, uh, cheese. Oh, that cheese. Probably one of the most unhealthy cheeses in the world, but oh, that tasted good. I love commodity cheese, and I really miss that flavor. Yeah, you grow up with that. You love it. Yeah, and wow, I miss that. And so yeah, and those kind of dried goods, yeah, canned and dried goods, and or juices too, orange juice and grapefruit juice and grape juice, and prunes, boxes of raisins. If I can remember everything, that's probably a little bit more than that, but that's the kind of food that we got, because in those days there wasn't food stamps back then, not that I remember. So he opened this can of cocktail, yeah, fruit cocktail, and he he in the big bowl he put some whipped cream in there, and then he put the fruit in there, and he started, you know, mixing it together, doing this, like that. I don't even, those are not Lakota words, okay? I think we saw that on the cartoon or something. So he was doing that. So he's mixing all of this together, and then the food was done. So then he got out two plates, put them on the table, and he's really acting like a restaurant guy again, yeah. And now we have our main dish, fried hamburger and a hamburger patty and what do you call fried potatoes. And he brought some slices of bread, so we made hamburgers like that. And he brought the ketchup down, and then so we were sitting there eating and just laughing and having a good old time. Yeah, just eating. So he went back to his Curtis identity. Yeah. Then after we got done, he said he went back. He switched back into his restaurant personality. What do you call it? Garçon. Yeah. The waiter personality. He's like, he went and got the bowl of dessert, the fruit salad. So he came over and he said, "And now for dessert." It's just a big those spoon, yeah, a huge spoon, just on our, in our two bowls. And so we really had fun, yeah. And so after that, he's like, we ate all that up, and we drank water, yeah, from the well. Yeah, I miss that water. I can still remember the taste. And so after that, he got all the dishes and put them in the sink, and I'll tell the dishwasher to wash that later. That was him too. But anyway, he said, "Yeah," I said, "in this restaurant we have air conditioning in every window. Let's turn on the air conditioning," he said. He pushed the window open. She just made me laugh the whole time, yeah. And it was so funny. But what really amazed me was, like, he's so young, but he cooked the whole meal, and that just impressed me. Yeah, and I told my mom about that, and she was really laughing. Yeah, as she th- and was saying, "Really? Did he really do that?" So I said, "Yeah." And the hamburger really tasted good, and the fried potatoes were really good too. And then I said, "How did he learn to cook?" Kind of made me want to learn how to cook too, yeah, because I always wanted to be like him. And he told me that, yeah, I think sometimes they have a difficult times in their family, and see, he has younger sisters, and sometimes his mother is away working or something, and so he take care of his younger sisters. His sisters were probably like 3 and 4 years younger than him, maybe even more, because they were really small girls. And my mom said he probably cooks for them. He probably watched, his mom cooking, because his mother's a really good cook. She was one of the best fry bread makers on the res. Her fry bread's probably one of the best fry bread I ever ate in my life. Um, so we call her the fry bread queen. Yeah? So that's probably why he had to cook, yeah, to take care of his sisters. So, but you see, that's how he was. He takes care of people. And I'm really impressed by that. I still am, yeah, when I think about that. So, yeah, he's quite a guy. And as we are going through our teenage times and so forth, he was kind of a guide for me too, going through that. And I appreciate that. Like I said, he was like my big brother. And we had lots of good times. And, like brothers, sometimes we ended up in difficulty. But we always came to peace because we remember we are brothers. Yeah. So, yeah, these are really good memories. And when we were teenagers, this like about 1977 it was, and Kiss, the rock band, they were huge at that time, yeah, even more huge than they are now. I think the best version of Kiss is that 1977-78 version. Yeah, this was the Love Gun era, you could say. That's the name of one of their albums. And they came to Rapid City. Rapid City got a brand new stadium, and Elvis was the first one to perform there. And that was nice, but it was sad too because a couple of weeks later he died. It was kind of sad. But shortly after that, Kiss was going to be there, so I got tickets, and I like to tell you about that experience. Yeah, I made a recording of this earlier, and so I'm gonna play this recording for you right now. Long time ago, when I was about how old was I? 15 years old. It was 1977, August. And a couple of months later, I would turn 16. But at this time, I was 15. And I had some tickets, some concert tickets to go to my first rock concert in my life. And it was to Kiss. They were going to be in Rapid City and playing live at the Rushmore Plaza Civic Center. And at that time, it was a brand new stadium. Yeah, it was just finished that summer. A few weeks earlier, Elvis was the first performer to play in that stadium. But I was a bigger Kiss fan, so I saved my money for the Kiss concert. And back then, boy, think about that. 1977. The Kiss concert tickets were $8. Can you believe that? For you young people of today. $8 to see the hottest band in the world. So cool. And it was my first concert, and I was going there with my friend Leo and my cousin Curtis, who is more like a big brother to me. Leo was the same age as me. We were both 15 years old, and Curtis was 17 years old. At that time, Curtis was a big guy. Yeah, he was kind of a cowboy. He had a cowboy hat and cowboy boots and cowboy belt with a big buckle and cowboy shirt, and he didn't look like your typical Kiss fan, yeah. And boy, that was wild, yeah. We got to the concert hall, and my mother took us, and she dropped us off there, and she said she would go back to the hotel room and she would come back and try to park at a certain place. The parking lot wasn't even finished yet. Just the stadium was finished. But the parking lot, not all of it was paved. It was still gravel there. But she said she would try to park near some building near there so that when it was over, we should look in that area. And she would be standing there someplace. So we said, okay. So my idea was, okay, the concert starts at 8 o'clock. So I thought, we better be there at 6. Because, see, back then, I used to read these magazines called Circus, Cream, and I think was there another one? I can't remember. But it was mainly those two magazines. Hit Parader. I used to read those three magazines a lot, rock and roll magazines. And when you read what's in there, you learn that to get to the concert, you should get there several hours before the gates open because it's going to be a madhouse. And my cousin didn't think it would be that way. But when when we got dumped off at the Civic Center, you could see all these guys dressed like Kiss, and my mom thought that they were Kiss. And I said, "Oh, look, there they are," she would say. And I was like, "No, that's not them. They're taller than that." I didn't even see them in person, but I knew they're over 6 feet tall. And with high heels, they're even taller than that. And the guys we saw were really short guys, yeah. So I knew that wasn't them. But you saw it all over the stadium, yeah, on the outside, all these guys dressed up like Kiss, and it was so cool. And then you had all these Bible people standing there and giving out these little New Testaments. And their signs they were holding up, they were saying that the letters in KISS stand for Knights in Satan's Service. They were telling us not to go in there because that's the devil in there and all that kind of thing. And it was so wild because there's a lot of, really partying people all over the place. And there was these big guys, and I saw this one guy picked up a trash can and he dumped the trash all over these Bible beaters, and then he put the trash can over one of those guys. Then he pushed it over and everybody was cheering. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. It's rock and roll. Oh my goodness. So we went into the Civic Center, and man, the lobby was just jam-packed. And oh man, there's beer bottles, Jack Daniels bottles, and marijuana smoke in the. This is just in the lobby. We're not even inside yet. And where the gates where they had this security thing that you see in front of a lot of stores inside shopping malls, that goes over the windows when they close up and so forth. And that's what was covered in that area where the gates were. So they were waiting, and then I think it was about 7 o'clock where they opened it up, but they were just in certain places that you could go in. And oh man, people were just rushing. Yeah, they were just rushing from all directions. And 15 years old, I'm just a small guy. Yeah? And I was just going this way and that way. And because sometimes you see the people beside you, they're all going in fast. It's like in the water, you have these different currents going in opposite directions. That's what it was like. All of a sudden, you see this rush of people all going fast forward that are beside you. Then they get pushed back and they all come back. Then where we are, we're rushing forward next. And it goes back and forth like that. Boy, we weren't getting anywhere. And so Curtis said, I have to censor this video, yeah? When I say heck, I don't mean heck, okay? You substitute heck with the F word, okay? So he said, heck with this. He said, you guys grab onto my belt. He said, so Leo and I, we grabbed onto his belt, and then he just, because he's so big, yeah? Curtis was big, tall. So he just, he just manhandled everybody in front of him and just pushed him aside. It's like I don't know what it was like. Yeah, like a bull going through a crowd of people. See, you see all these people going by the side. Gee, not that bad. And so there were other people they saw this, so they got behind us. Yeah. So Curtis led the charge. Yeah. Right to the gate. So we got in just quick. And then there's a long line of police there searching you and make sure you don't have any weapons or anything like that. And so, gee, that was something. That was almost as cool as the concert itself, yeah? Oh man, that's such a nice memory. I really like to think about that. So when I hear Kiss songs, I always remember that, yeah? Especially the older Kiss songs from the Love Gun record. This tour was the Love Gun tour. This was when they were at their peak of their career, yeah? This was when they were really, they were the number one band in the world, yeah? The number one rock band in the world. And they were all over the world, and it was so cool. Rapid City was not part of their original tour, but they had some extra time and they thought, hey, let's go over to South Dakota. So instead of Sioux Falls, they came to Rapid City because Rapid City had this new stadium, this new civic center, and it held more people than the stadium in Sioux Falls, which is on the east side of the state, the southeast corner of the state, which is the biggest city in South Dakota. Rapid City being the second biggest city. And Rapid City is on the far west, southwest corner of the state. So they booked their concert in Rapid City. And I'm so thankful for that, yeah, because Rapid City was just a 2-hour drive from where we live. So we got into the concert and found a good place to sit. And I said to Curtis, it's probably not a good idea to get on the floor because it's going to be wild. And there's a lot of tall people here. So we got some really good seats though, yeah. We got some really cool seats, and then the lights went down and the crowd went crazy. Just nuts. I never heard a crowd. Well, I shouldn't say I never heard a crowd like that before because this was my first concert. But it was wild. Yeah, just wow. And then this band started playing, and then I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like any Kiss song I know. Because I was a Kiss expert back then, yeah. I knew all their songs. I could play all their songs on guitar and all that stuff. Could even play Beth on piano, yeah. So I was like, wait a minute, this is not Kiss. And then the lights came on and you saw this band playing. It's like, wait a minute, who are these goofy looking guys? And it's like, huh. And people at first they started to boo, yeah? Boo, boo. You know, the people were booing them and throwing cups of, I don't know what's inside those cups, but they were throwing them at the stage. But this band kept playing. And then after about the second song, people were like, hey, wait a minute, they're not bad. It's just that, see, when we got our concert tickets, it just said Kiss. And when you saw the posters in the building, it just said Kiss. It did not announce any opening act at all. So people thought it was just going to be Kiss there. So when they saw this band, a lot of people were disappointed. They're like, oh shit, maybe they didn't come. And instead this other band's playing. So people were like, oh man, you know. But like I said, the band was good. They sounded really good. And by the third song, people were going nuts. People got into it. Yeah, there was this song they played. How did it go? Something like, I want you to want me. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah. It was Cheap Trick. And it was like, these guys, they're not that bad. They're pretty good. And in South Dakota, you didn't hear their music on the radio, but in the big cities, I think you did. Yeah, like in Los Angeles and so forth. They didn't really have any big hits yet. This I Want You to Want Me was just released, and it wasn't the huge hit that it had become. But people liked it, and they have good songs, really good rocking songs. And so I think they played for about 45 minutes, and oh, it was good, yeah? It was really good. When they got done, the crowd was really going. Yeah, it was really going. And then the lights came up again, the big stadium lights came up, and people were like in a good mood. Yeah, just clouds of marijuana smoke going all over, and people were throwing these big balloons all over the place. And then a couple of fights here and there, even girls fighting each other. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Yeah, rock and roll. And then I know about these concerts because I read about them in these magazines that I told you about. So I have a good idea of what's going to happen. And that's why I wanted to sit at a certain location where we are kind of like almost eye to eye with the band. Yeah. And I wore this really fluorescent yellow windbreaker. So I knew that if we could be in the area where the concert lights are, that maybe if I stand up and throw my fist up every now and then, that maybe they'll see me. That was my plan. And so Kiss came out, and I was like, oh my God, it was just, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, this was so better than I could ever imagine. Yeah. And I remember that before they came out, before the concert started, we were sitting at a place where we could kind of see what was behind the stage. Yeah, because they have a long black curtain in the back, and then the big Kiss letters are there, and they have these lighted stairs with these yellow lights on the steps, and the drum riser and stuff like that, and the amplifiers, and but you could kind of see the door to the dressing room in the back. And so you saw them coming out, yeah? I think the first one coming out was Peter Criss, the drummer. And the people on our side of the stadium, that we could see this, and oh, it just got wow, yeah? People were hollering and screaming, and here come Ace Frehley, and I was like, whoa, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe this is happening. Then to see Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons come out, and it's, you see those old movies of all them girls screaming like crazy when the Beatles come on stage? That was me. Screaming around and throwing my hands in the air and Paul, Gene. Oh my gosh, that was so fun. And then the lights went down, yeah, just complete black. And then you hear this voice, Rapid City, are you ready? And the crowd is going nuts and wild. And you wanted the best. You got the best. The hottest band in the world. Kiss! And then, holy man, it's just like the whole stadium was a rocket that just blasted off, yeah? Jesus, jeez, I don't know what to say. It's undescribable, yeah, this feeling. And oh, it was just nuts. And I just couldn't take my eyes off the stage, yeah? I didn't want to miss 1 second of this concert. And there were times where the spotlight would kind of show in our area and where we were sitting. And then there was this one part where Gene Simmons, he looked to the area where we were sitting, and I shot my right hand up in the air. And then he looked and he pointed at me, and he really shook his head, and he did one too. And I thought, wow, I made contact with Gene Simmons. Maybe there was somebody else too, but I interpreted it as that was for me. Yeah? So, that was the highlight, yeah? Highlight of the concert for me. And but oh my gosh, that was such a cool concert. And so the concert, it went over 2 hours. Yeah, they really went a long time. It was so cool. And they played what they played, 4 encores. It was just amazing. And when they went into rock and roll all night, oh my God, that was so, whew. Yeah, I was just like, man, it was like I went through a workout. Yeah. And Leo, my friend, he didn't know about encores. Yeah. So, he was sitting by the aisle. Yeah. So by the steps. So when they say, good night, Rapid City, Leo got up and took off. I tried to stop him. Hey, don't go. They're not done. They're not done yet. But he didn't hear me because it was so loud. And so he ran out. And we didn't see him for the rest of the concert. Yeah, he was outside waiting for us. He missed the encores. Oh, man. I should have told him. Curtis didn't know either, but I grabbed him fast enough. Yeah. I said, no, don't go. I said, they're not done yet. And so we wanted to watch the encore, so we saw that, and then oh my God, it was so cool. Yeah. Then when we were leaving the stadium, we were still inside, but we were going down the steps to the exit. there's there's this guy that was passed out. They laid him on the steps and they put a flower in his hand like he's dead. Jeez, there was a lot of wild things happening there. Then we went outside and we found Leo, and then we were able to. Luckily, we were able to find where my mother was parked, and so we got back. And oh, I couldn't even sleep that night. Yeah, it was just I was too excited about the whole thing, and that was my first concert. Yeah, it's a good memory for me, and like I said, Curtis was like a big brother to me, and I'm very thankful for that. And it was a good time. Yeah, I'm really happy that we had this experience. So yeah, that was a, a really cool experience with the Kiss concert. As we got older, I got married and had a family, and I was going to a university out in Utah. And there was a time I took a break from university, and during that break, he was not doing so well. And I thought, wow, if he keeps this lifestyle up, which was an unhealthy lifestyle. I thought if he keeps going on this lifestyle, he may not be around much longer, because it was not a good thing, this kind of thing. So when I was going to go back with my family, I asked him, "Can you come along?" Um, because I'm driving back with my family, and it would be good to have another guy there, because in case we have a flat tire or something, and just making reasons for him to come. I had already been out there, and it was nice, and I wanted him to just get off the reservation for a while and come to see how good it can be in the real world. Not that the res is not a real world, but off the res, and and just to see how it is, and maybe find a job, and if he doesn't like it, then I said to him, I will give you a bus ticket to come back to South Dakota. And so he said, yeah, okay. So he came out with us, and lived in our apartment, and he was walking down the street, and he saw this people in this house, and they were um, making a house. So he walked over there and he said, yeah, you guys need any help? And the guy said, yeah, could actually use some help. What do you know how to do? Making houses. And he said, well, I don't really know anything, but I'm willing to learn. And so the guy said, well, okay, well, I do need help, and I can start you on, some simple things, and I'll teach you. Yeah. And so he actually got a job, yeah. Within a week, he got a job. I thought that was so cool. And so now he's getting paid. This is probably the first real job that he had. You know, I mean, when we were teenagers, we all were on this summer youth program where we had summer jobs, mowing lawns and things like that in the neighborhood. But this was a real job for him. And this was the first one, for him. And he found it himself. And the man was a very loving man. And he started to train him, to be a carpenter. And I thought, wow, things are really, really going good for him. Then he met a woman, Apache. And I was really happy for him because this was a good woman. Yeah. And this is probably the first good woman he was with. And so I was really encouraging him, to hang in there and live a good life. Yeah, it's time to live a good life now. And I went back to South Dakota after my studies, and he stayed in Utah. And he took over the apartment with his girlfriend. And then shortly after, they moved to Arizona to his girlfriend's people, and they got married. And I was so happy for him. Yes, yeah, and he's walking a healthy road, yeah, and he's got a good woman by his side. And I guess one time he called his mother and told her that he's going to be a father. And so when I heard the news, I was like, yeehaw! I never would have imagined that this would happen to him, because like I said, before going to Utah, his life was not going in a good way. And now it's just totally opposite. Now he's really living a good life. He had several children, several daughters, and a son. And he taught them how to sing Indian. And so with his daughters and some of their relatives, they formed a drum group. And they were really getting attention down there in Arizona. Yeah, I thought that was so cool. I'm so proud of him and his family. And the things that he was accomplishing was incredible. And then he got a job down there at their tribal housing department. Because see, he's good now, he got trained to do these things in Utah. Now he's working there and boy, he really did good. Yeah, I was so happy for him. And it was on February 3rd, 2014, I received the news that he had passed on. He was 53 years old. And it really shocked me. Yeah, I didn't think that would happen. He died from health problems. And I won't go into it out of respect for the family. But it was, of course, very sad for me. When I heard the news, I couldn't help but cry. Because that was my big brother. And he's not there anymore, physically. So I had a little talk with his wife and send him my condolences. And it was earth-shattering because I always thought, we'd always be here. Yeah, we always think that. I'm very happy that he got to be a father. I'm so happy that he got to experience that, to have a good partner. People around him love him. They even asked him to, one of the tribal members down there asked him to sponsor her in one of their ceremonies that they do. And that shows me they accepted him as one of them. Cool. Yeah. I'm so proud of him that that's happened to him. But when in our lives, when we grow up with people that are very close to us, whether it's our friends, relatives, our partners, childhood best friends, we have a part of them in us because of the things that we experience together. Whenever we do something, it's a communication, and energy comes out of us. And when we're with somebody, our energy is shared with them, and their energy is shared with us. And that's part of the memory making process, and that's now inside of us. So they're always in us. Yeah, they're always in us. Yes, it's sad because they're physically not here, but we can still talk to them through here. And when we experience things in life, we can say, like, you're experiencing it with me in a way, yeah, because they are here. Whenever we are having a nice experience about something in our lives, we can still share it with them because a part of them is here. It's like they can see it through us. So we can say, see how wonderful this is. Because that's an energy, that's an essence, yeah, that's a spiritual essence that is still with you. And so when I think of that, I still carry him with me, as his family does too. And so I just wanted to share this with you. And this is my way of honoring my big brother, Curtis Redbird. Ho Mitakuyepi, Hechetuelo. Everyone, this is the way it is. This is the truth.